Good morning, and welcome to the Mental Breakdown Morning Show. I'm Dr. Bernie Wilkinson.
I'm Dr. Richard Marshall.
And today is Thursday, September 22nd. Good morning.
Good morning. How are
Welcome. You? Good, good.
I'm feeling good today. Something's wrong. Something is wrong somewhere.
You have been uncharacteristically chipper.
I was pretty good last night again.
Yeah?
But royal temptation this morning.
I know.
We had a celebration in the office yesterday. Oh my gosh.
There was cake and it wasn't like healthy cake whether it's healthy cake.
Sure. You guys have made some rice flour, coconut flour.
Yeah. Healthier.
No, this is a high octane.
Yeah, that was a healthy.
Did you
cake.
have some?
No, I didn't.
No, I haven't had any yet either.
No, you said yet.
Either. I haven't had it yet.
Yeah, I said yet.
It's calling my name. It is.
It is?
It's in this little box, and it is calling my name.
Well, I'm gonna avoid it because
take it with you.
No.
Then we won't eat it.
No.
Okay.
It won't happen.
Well, it's good that we're talking about eating this cake because today we're going to talk about healthy eating.
That's right. Today is sort of Brown Bag Thursday. So we talk about different things.
Right.
And when we were getting ready for the show this morning, you were talking about a article that you found actually yesterday, the 21st,
Mm-hmm.
that is in line with a lot of the other things that we've talked about as it relates to the impact of stress and how stress interferes with some of the other things that we're trying to do in our life.
Because we've been talking about that this week,
with
the effect of stress and being mindful and thoughtful and learning ways to relax. So as I was going through the news this morning, I stumbled upon this article. What interested me was that its title is "Chill Out, Ladies. Stress can erase the benefits of your healthful diet."
That's a provocative title. Well, I'll include the link to the article in the show notes. But
one of the things that struck me about this is I met a friend of mine yesterday who has been dieting, and she's been doing a real restricted calorie, 800 calorie a day diet, B12, all that stuff. And I asked her how she was doing, and she said, "No, I'm not. It's not having any effect."
Right. And
I said, well, one of the reasons might be because you're under a lot of stress right now, and she is. Her job is very, very stressful. And, she has a family and she's working and there's a lot of stress associated with her job. And I said, as long as you're under this kind of stress, and she and I have talked about that before, I said, your diet may not work very well.
Right.
This diet. And she said, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then this morning I get up and I see this thing about stress negating the effects of even a healthy diet.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there is a lot of chatter in functional medicine and different areas of medicine that's now talking about the fact that simply looking at calories in versus calories burned is not a very effective way of managing your weight and managing your overall health.
Yeah, it's not enough.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
And there are two issues here. One is genetic.
Right.
And the other is inflammation. Okay. And genetically, one of the things we need to understand is that from a genetic standpoint, stress in our species, one of the major causes of stress in our species is hunger.
Right.
As a species, it's only been in the last less than 100 years, about the last 80 years, that in the developing nations, hunger hasn't been a persistent problem.
Right.
Prior to that, and in developing nations, if the crop fails, people die.
Right.
I mean, that's what happened to the colonists when they first came to the United States, when they first came to the colonies. If the crops didn't work, they died. That's what Thanksgiving is all about. And so a major cause of stress was food insufficiency or hunger. And so now our genes are programmed that if there is stress, it tells your body, hold on to the fat, because there's hunger around, but there's not enough food around. And so hold on to this fat. And that's still happening to us today.
Right. Because remember that our body doesn't differentiate the source of the stress.
Right.
So if you're stressed from not having the availability of food, that's the same kind of stress, or the stress is managed the same way or interpreted the same way by your body as if you were being chased by a bear, or if you were, overworking yourself, working 80 hours a week or something like that. So it doesn't matter the source of the stress. Stress has the same effect on your body no matter where it's coming from.
That's right. And so you're right. The body doesn't differentiate.
Right.
It just does this response to keep you alive.
Right.
So hold on to your resources, and our resources are stored as fat.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And the second issue is inflammation, and you
Yeah.
know a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So talk about inflammation.
Yeah, well, inflammation, it's also stress related. We call it, many times we call it oxidative stress, but inflammation can come, again, from lots of different sources, either what you're eating, but not eating enough. Sometimes when we restrict our diet so much, our body says, whoa, I don't know when we're going to get anything back.
Right.
So let's hold on to this because I don't know. But that's why we have those people who are working hard to, cut back calories and do all that, but they have no energy. They have no drive because their body is saying, let's not burn any of this energy. Let's hold on to it. Let's store it and keep it going. But inflammation, inflammation is a great thing when you've twisted your knee or you've done something because the inflammation goes in there and it holds that joint together so that you don't do any more damage to it.
And explain exactly what inflammation is. People think of inflammation, but what do we really mean by that?
We're really just talking about a physiological response to some type of stressor. We're talking about depending on the type of inflammation or where the inflammation is, there's going to be an accumulation of fluid. There's going to be an accumulation of cells in our body to support that area that is struggling.
And we see that with injuries, like if you bump, you bump your arm, it swells.
Right.
Okay. And the swelling is the inflammation.
Exactly.
It's your body's immune system response to rush to that area with healing powers to solve that, to heal that wound.
Right. Okay. And the swelling is there, again, to immobilize. If you twist your knee, you don't want to be using it too much, so it swells, and so that the joint doesn't move, and it keeps it stable.
And all that's good.
Right. That's a good type of inflammation.
The problem is that inflammation, though it has these positive benefits, it also is a risk factor for heart disease, for certain types of cancers, for and even brain disorders like depression and dementia.
Absolutely.
And so
anxiety.
all of these what we call them stress-related disorders, the things we're dying of today, we're not dying of infectious disease anymore.
Right.
People don't die of pneumonia in the developing nations. They don't die of infections like from a cut. I mean, before, if you got a cut and you're in the jungle, that was a death sentence.
Right.
Okay? Now we have antibiotics and we can treat those. What we're dying of now are things like heart disease, cancer, dementias, brain diseases, and these are all. The inflammation is a risk factor for these things. Right. So it's a two-edged sword.
Absolutely.
Healing on the one hand, but dangerous on the other. Right. So the point is,
but it's another example of how our body responds to these, and it doesn't differentiate by the source. No matter whether it's because you twisted your knee and it's going to respond for that, or you're eating something that is creating some inflammation response in your gut, or you are stressed and so your body responds by saying, we're stressed, and begins to start that inflammation process in other parts of your body. I
had a surgery this summer. Okay, so I had inflammation because of the site of the surgery. If I'm stressed, I have inflammation. Right. It's the same immune system response. Okay.
Absolutely.
So that's the other important part of this article is. So what this study did, and the reason they talk about females is because they only used women in the study. Okay. So it applies to both men and women. Right. But this particular study had only women. And what they did is they had two groups of women, and they fed one group a breakfast of eggs, turkey sausage, and biscuits and gravy. Okay, so a high fat, high calorie, very dense, high calorie diet. And one group of women had the stuff cooked in butter and oil and like real southern grease and all that, so very high fat content. And the other group used different kinds of oils and what we would consider a Mediterranean diet. Okay. So it reduced all those. So one was a healthy breakfast, and that's what they mean by when they say of a healthful diet. Well, the interesting thing was after the women ate the breakfast. So let's say they went in on Tuesday, or today's Thursday. So they come in this morning, and each group eats the breakfast. Then they gave them a questionnaire. And the women who were in the high stress, if they reported stress the day before, And by stress, it could be anything from an argument to being rushed to, it doesn't have to be high levels of stress. We're not talking about, a tree fell in the house or anything like that. These are simple, sort of day in, day out stressors. Women who reported high levels of stress, they then drew their blood. And you do this, we do those blood, we can order those blood tests here, okay? And what would they be testing?
They'd be testing for cortisol,
right,
and DHEA and those kinds of things,
right?
Yeah.
So
hormones.
So they drew those and they measured 4 things, okay? And so what they determined was that even if a woman had ate the healthier diet, if she had experienced stress the day before, those lab values were high.
Okay.
So you can't overcome. So the point of the article is you can't overcome stress by a healthy diet. And on the other hand, if you're interested in losing weight, you better do something about your stress. What you said right at the beginning, it's not only calories in, calories out.
Right.
There's another factor involved here.
Absolutely.
And that's stress because of its relationship to the immune system.
Right. And that leads into some of the encouragement that we try to give you every day, and that is the best stress relievers are exercise, mild to moderate exercise, meditation, positive thinking. All of those things are great ways to relieve stress, to lower those hormone levels so that you can function well, so that you can do the things that you need to do and manage the stress in your life, because we all have stress in our life. But the better we are at managing that stress, the better and healthier we're going to be anyway.
That's right. One of the things we are now telling our families, whether they're adults or they're parents raising children, is no matter what else you do, you need to address sleep, exercise, and eating.
Right.
I mean, those 3 things, you have to do those carefully.
Right.
You can't. Sleep is another. If you have sleep deprivation, you increase stress.
Right.
If you're not sleeping enough, you're going to be stressed.
Absolutely.
And if you're stressed, you're not going to lose weight. So
Absolutely.
Sleeping is part of your weight loss. If you're trying to lose weight, adequate sleep is part of your weight loss program. If you don't sleep well, it doesn't matter what you eat.
Yeah.
You can eat 800 calories a day. You're not going to lose any weight because the stress is going to counteract that poor sleep.
Yeah, I love it when people say, okay, I'm going to start exercising, so I'm going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning so I can exercise before I got to get the kids up.
Right.
And say, well, that's great. That's fine. What time are you going to go to bed now? Well, I'm still going to go to bed around midnight, Well, okay, so 4 hours of sleep just isn't enough. And so no matter what you do when you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go exercise, it's not going to have the effects that you want it to have, because you're going to still have the stress from not having enough sleep and those kinds of issues. So.
And so the take-home message here is you're not going to trick your body.
Right.
You're going to pay a price, especially with stress. And we've said this before. We can't emphasize enough the damaging effects of stress. I mean, it just, whether it's destroying brain tissue or interfering with diet and healthy and exercise, we can't stress enough how bad stress is for you. So if you're going to want to live a healthy life, you better put sleep, exercise, and eating right at the top of your list.
Yeah. And if there's a second take home, it's that if anything appears or presents itself as an easy fix, an easy way to do it, then it's not.
It's not the Atkins diet that's going to do it. It's not the,
it has to be
I'm
a
going to quit
lifestyle.
eating sugar, or I'm going to quit eating, I'm going to go on a gluten-free diet. Well, that's not going to be enough.
Right. It's a great start, but you have to have these other pieces involved. And, that's just the way that it is. I mean, you can't, there's not a quick fix. There's not a magic pill for anything that we ever, anything. So it's the same thing with this. There's not an easy quick fix. You have to include all of these things.
And when we talk about putting children on medication, we're not opposed to putting them on medication, but if we're not going to do, if the kids aren't going to do all these other things, the medication alone isn't going to solve the problem.
Right. It's only going to.
That's right. It'll cover up the symptoms, but you have to address these other 3 issues.
Absolutely. So all right. Well, and so those are even the recommendations for the day. Get out there and do all of that. Eat well. Try to meditate if you can. Make sure you get some good sleep and eat well and exercise.
Right.
All that good stuff. Yep. So all right. Well, tomorrow's Friday.
Friday is get ready for the weekend.
We're going to get ready for the weekend tomorrow. So we will see you then. today's going to be a great day.
I think so. Yeah.
Wait, did you think of a TH word to go with Thursday?
I haven't come up with a
Stupendous.
alliterative response for Thursday yet.
Stupendous.
No. We'll keep working on it.
All right.
Okay.
So have a great day.
Good day.
We'll see you tomorrow, and we'll be ready for the weekend after tomorrow. So.
Right.
All right. Bye-bye.